Bob from Siskiyou Gunworks here, and with everyone all locked down and watching movies and TV so much, I thought this would be a good time to point out some of Hollywood's inaccuracies when it comes to firearms. Now, one that really gets me when I see it, and I have a dear friend in Los Angeles who's laughing to herself right now because she knows exactly what I'm going to say, is when someone's got a double action revolver like this one with the cylinder out and they spin it, and it makes the sound of a single action revolver. Now, I suppose we should make a little distinction here between double and single action so everyone knows. In a double action revolver, double check, make sure we're empty because we don't want any negligent discharges in the office. But in a double action revolver, the trigger performs or can perform two functions. One is to cock the hammer back, and let's try that a little slower. Cock the hammer back and also release the hammer. Thus two functions, cock and release. Whereas a single action revolver, and again we'll make sure we're empty, if you pull the trigger with the hammer forward, nothing happens. You have to manually cock the hammer. Thus the trigger performs a single action. Now when it comes to making our little sound here with the cylinder, it requires two parts, one of which is the cylinder itself, which has these little grooves on the back of it, and the other piece is called a pawl. It's not P-A-U-L or P-A-L-L, it's P-A-W-L. And the cylinder, the grooves ride, or the pawl rides in these grooves in the cylinder. As it turns, it falls into the grooves, and that's what makes the clicking sound. So obviously when you have a cylinder out here and the pawl itself is inside here, there's no way that this can make that sound with the cylinder open. Now another thing that drives me nuts when I see it is when there's a fire and there's ammo in the fire and it starts cooking off and rounds are flying everywhere at full velocity and people are ducking for cover. That just simply wouldn't happen that way. And the reason is the pressure from the cartridge has to be contained within the chamber because brass is weak. And this is a 25-06, operates at about 60,000 pounds per square inch. And the brass itself can't contain that kind of pressure. What would happen if the powder were to start burning inside? The brass would probably rupture, maybe split into several pieces. The bullet would probably go a short distance. Pieces of shrapnel from the brass would go a short distance. Likely not even penetrate drywall, but it might if it's close enough. Wouldn't do too much damage to a human unless it went in their eye or something, or if they were really close to it. But it certainly is not going to reach full velocity and go streaming out through the air. The only way that happens is if the brass is supported inside the chamber, inside the barrel, and then the back of the cartridge case is supported by the bolt face, so the only place for that pressure to go is down the barrel. And since the bullet is ahead of that pressure curve, that's what drives the bullet down the barrel. And as the powder burns, it increases velocity the further it goes down the barrel to a point where it's not going to increase anymore. And hopefully if you've done everything right and the ammo is loaded correctly for the barrel length, it meets top velocity as it leaves the barrel. So that is a couple of the things that drive me nuts about Hollywood. Now, what kind of video would this be if we didn't hit the range and do a little live fire? I'm thinking maybe take a scene from a recent movie and in a nice safe environment, test it out to see if it actually worked. So why don't we go do that now? Out at the range, got a little light rainfall and hopefully it won't get any worse. And a lot of you have probably seen the movie Sicario 2, and if you haven't seen the movie, you've probably seen the trailer, the part where Benicio del Toro's got the bad guy crawling along on the ground and he takes his pistol and holds it in his right hand and works the trigger with his left hand. Now, conventional wisdom would say that the repeated recoil without recovering would make that muzzle climb, and the rounds would go up and start scattering down the road. And we've got a nice safe environment. Our bad guy down here ready to take incoming, and we're going to test that theory out. Alright, let's see what we got. The first couple were wide until I got walked over on target. One flyer up here and the rest are all right in here. No muzzle climb, all center of mass hits. I guess it works. So the last thing I'm going to pick on Hollywood about today is recoil, or lack thereof. Almost any movie or TV show you watch, they shoot no movement whatsoever in the gun. Now anyone that's ever shot knows that's not the case. There's going to be a little bit of recoil, no matter what you're shooting, even if it's a .22. The one exception, of course, is Clint Eastwood movies, particularly Dirty Harry's character with the .44 Magnum. Although I think that one's a little excessive. Mine doesn't kick that much. Maybe I'm just stronger than Clint. But anyway, to give a little to put it in perspective, the 9mm that Benicio was using and the one that I was using and I'm carrying today generates probably 350 foot-pounds of muzzle energy and about 5 foot-pounds of recoil. Dirty Harry's .44 Magnum, about 950 foot-pounds of muzzle energy, around 18 to 20 foot-pounds of recoil. Now I don't have a .44 Magnum with me, but I did bring my woods gun, my 500 JRH, which is about twice as powerful as a .44 Magnum. It makes a little over 1,800 foot-pounds of muzzle energy, and recoil is in the 50 foot-pound range. So after I get done with the 9, we'll give that one a go, and you'll get to see what real recoil looks like. And one thing you'll notice, unlike when I'm shooting the 9mm, the recoil and the twist is so severe I do have to readjust my grip, which is something you try to avoid in a tactical situation or if you're shooting competition. But it's just unavoidable in that thing, as you'll see. But first off, my little 9mm. Okay, not much movement, particularly with a halfway decent stance. That wasn't perfect, but it controlled it. A little bit of muzzle flip, not bad. Now for something totally different. As you can see, obviously a much more powerful gun for seasoned shooters mostly. I mean, this, unless you're Mickey Rourke and Harley Davidson, the Marlboro Man, you don't start out learning to shoot on a gun like this. But with practice and training and a little bit of self-control, a little 90, 100-pound person could easily learn to shoot that gun. So that concludes today's examination of what's going on wrong in Hollywood as far as firearms. We could come up with lots of other examples like trajectory, but that one involves a whole bunch of math and stuff, so we'll do that one another time. For now, take care, and we will talk to you next time.